We've had some late breaking news. Just as I was editing this video to put it up, we now know the name of the shooter, Brandon Scott Hull, 19 years old. He was the one who, at the FedEx facility in Indianapolis, killed 8 people before turning the gun on himself. Police have had an interaction with Brandon a year and a month ago. March of 2020, he was threatening suicide. Police were dispatched. The behavioral unit took him out of the house, transferred him to the hospital for evaluation and treatment. We don't know what all that treatment was, but like many mass shooters, and it is, if anything, we talk about more and more mass shooters. Well, one of the things they have all had in common is suicidal tendencies, and possibly in years, in decades past, where the person would commit suicide. The thought now is to make a name for yourself and take as many people out with you as you can. I don't mean to stereotype, but we see that happen a lot. So Brandon Scott Hull, a year and a month later, commits this horrible act of terror, really is what it is. But 19-year-old Brandon Scott Hull, and now you'll hear the rest of the video outlining what happened. And again, this was before we knew the name of the shooter. A picture has not, as of yet, been released. Hello, everybody. I wanted to give you an update as to that horrendous mass shooting outside and inside of the FedEx facility in Indianapolis. We know quite a bit more than we did last night. I want to give a lot of credit to the reporters in Indianapolis at the various news stations, the Fox affiliate, the ABC affiliate. They did a fantastic job. I am not big on journalists. I oftentimes don't have many nice things to say about journalists, but they were not trying to provide a certain slant or narrative. They were just trying to get the information of what happened, and they were tenacious in getting that information. So my hat's off to them. We know quite a bit more clearly than we did last night, some 12 to 14 hours later now after the incident. We know at about 11 p.m., police received word that shots were fired outside of the FedEx facility in Indianapolis. Now, some 4,500 people have jobs around these facilities. It's a huge, expansive facility there. A lot of people were originally saying that the person must have worked there. That could still be the case. What we do know is the suspect showed up, started firing immediately, randomly at people outside the facility. He killed 4 outside of this facility, killed 4 inside, and then turned the gun on himself. So 9 people in total died. The injury numbers last night were all over the place. 10, 20, 60 was the last thing that had been reported when I made my last update. There were 5 injuries, 4 gunshot victims, and 1 other injury that we don't know the specifics of what that is yet. Now, the police have been identifying victims. They identified the shooter. They are not releasing that yet, though I would say that'll come soon. They are at the suspect's home, going through his belongings, trying to piece together why. There was not inherently a known cause, which makes me think possibly that he did not work there. Could he have worked there in the past, etc.? Could he still work there? We just don't know. So you can't take my conjecture, take it with a grain of salt. One thing I was really impressed at the press conference by the IMPD was how much they wanted people to know that this is not indicative of the people of Indianapolis, who are very giving, who are very proud people, who are able to hold world-class events, plus have a local hometown feel to the town. And I can attest to that. When I've been to Indianapolis in the past, I have always enjoyed the city and enjoyed its people. They talked about the collaboration with the state police, with the chaplain's office, with the FBI field unit, all working together. The first responders putting themselves into harm's way without a second thought, because that's what they do. I thought the police handled it really well, and that they would not speak of any fatalities until families that were concerned were able to speak to police personnel and to the chaplain's offices. And obviously, we knew when chaplains were set up at the local Holiday Inn that it probably was not going to be a good thing, that we probably were going to have fatalities, and we did. So again, as of right now, we don't know the why. We know that 9 people are dead. That includes the gunman. And we're still left to try and understand why. Not to justify it, because nothing could. But we have to be able to look at some of these events and try to find a way to stop this in the future. And for those of you that say it's simply a matter of gun control, I don't agree. And for those of you that say it's not a matter of gun control, I don't agree with that either. And I know I'm going to have people on both sides upset with me. I don't own a gun. I have in the past. I don't have currently and haven't in several years. But I believe in people's right to bear arms. I believe that that's a very important part of why this country remains free. There is a big reason that America doesn't get invaded. Number one, obviously we have the number 1 military in the world, but there are quite a few people that would be afraid of the armed populace. And incidents of mass shootings are low in comparison to people that actually own guns, but they should be 0. We would love for that, right? In a perfect world. But we now know that this pandemic has affected people in a lot of ways. Depression. There was even a statistic I saw that 40% of people polled, and it was a survey of more than 80,000 people. 40% of them were actually afraid to go back to normal life. Is that playing a role in some of these things? We just don't know. We don't know what caused this, but we do know somebody wanted to hurt other individuals, and they did. And people's lives were taken when they shouldn't have been. When we know more, I'll probably do one final video to talk about who the shooter was, what might have been the motive. But that's where we are now. Thank you, everybody. Take care of each other. And don't let incidents like this keep you from living your best life and keep you from noticing the joy and the magic that is being alive and being an American. For every incident of evil, do twice as much good.